Background. My parents divorced when I, 18 male, was 3 because my dad was having an affair with my stepmom. My mom and stepmom were work rivals and strongly disliked each other even before the affair. There has always been speculation that this is why my stepmom willingly became the other woman, because she disliked my mom. I was aware of this, and not because of my parents, but because of the drama that would kick off with my dad's side of the family. I was present for some of my dad's relatives' speculations about this. My parents did not get along after the affair, and tensions were high whenever my mom and stepmom were in the same room. My stepmom had 3 pregnancies that ended. The first 2 were, I guess, typical or normal loss, but the third one caused my stepmom a lot of medical issues, and that led to her being infertile, so she and my dad never got to have a living child together. After the third loss, my stepmom wanted me around because she wanted to feel like a parent, and she wanted to know she would still have me. She and my dad asked my mom if they could extend their time with me, and my mom laughed in her face and told her she didn't care what she'd been through and would not let me be used as a band-aid. My stepmom argued that she deserved compassion for what she was going through. It would be good for me to get that little extra attention and love since I wouldn't ever have siblings. My mom told her she'd never had compassion for her and didn't feel sorry for her. She told her she didn't deserve to be a mom after taking part in the end of my stability within my family. She did blame my dad too, but that has never been focused on as much by my dad and stepmom or his family. After that, my mom and stepmom were never in the same place together. They had third parties take care of exchanges of me until I was old enough to hop out of a car and into the home I was returning to. Once they realized I knew the details of what happened, my dad and stepmom were vocal about mom being cruel and hurtful to my stepmom, and that was why they weren't ever in the same room together. A few times I picked up on their desire for me to hate my mom for them, but I didn't. I tried to stay neutral, which my mom encourages, but if I have to pick, like with this, I'm team mom all the way. I'm graduating from high school in a couple of months, and my dad and stepmom brought up that my stepmom doesn't feel like she should be around my mom and doesn't want to be there with her. They told me they felt it would be best if I made it clear to my mom that she couldn't be there. I told them my mom would be there. Then my stepmom told me she can't be in the same room as her after what she did, so I said just don't come. I told her I wasn't going to beg her to be there. I wanted my mom there and they weren't going to stop me. They asked me how I could say that, knowing how mom treated my stepmom, and they asked me to be more compassionate. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Jesus, move away as soon as you can. I'm surprised you haven't asked to stay with your mom full time at some point. Where was your stepmom's compassion when she broke apart your family? I'm team mom too. Your mom deserved way better, and so did you. The cheaters ask how you can side with the victim cheated on because said victim fought back. Ha ha ha, the audacity, the entitlement, the victim complex. Wow, seriously. Even setting aside all the bad blood between your parents, as long as you have a good relationship with your parents, isn't it obvious you would prefer and choose them over any step-parent? Like that's just common sense. OP, they're adults here. Ask them why they can't have compassion for the kid being put in the middle who just wants his biological parents there at a major milestone in his life. Your mom owes your stepmom just as much consideration as your stepmom gave her when she decided to bang her husband. Hope your father will realize he should have been as neutral as you were and that he will set boundaries for his wife. She doesn't need to be at your graduation if she can't act like an adult, but your parents should be there for you. And what will happen when you get married? Is the stepmom going to demand that your mom not go too? Geez, team mom all the way. This is about my son Ryan. When Ryan was a senior in college, he told me one of his one-night stands told him she was pregnant. I told him we should get a DNA test to be sure that he is the father. So we did that, and when the results came back, he started to date her since he was the father. The woman, Shelley, has never liked me. The first time I met her, she commented that I must think so little of her to convince Ryan to get a DNA test. The relationship started on a horrible note. Shelley integrated into the family, but our relationship didn't warm up. Overall, I just avoided her for the most part. I was civil at events, but we were not buddies. They got engaged about 2 years ago. Around last Halloween, Shelley was telling the family I was saying horrible things about her. I wasn't. It was my word against hers, and my son gave me an ultimatum. I apologize or I won't be invited to the wedding. I refused to apologize for something I didn't do, so I was uninvited to their wedding. At Christmas, she told the family that if I was invited for the holidays, then they wouldn't come. There was a big drama and the family split the festivities into 2 days. My sister and husband have been on my side for all of this. The wedding is in 2 weeks. I received a call from Ryan last night. It boiled down to Shelley admitting to lying to him. She saw how sad he was that I wouldn't be at the wedding and told him the truth. He re-invited me to the wedding and I told him I was unsure and would think about it. I don't want to go to the wedding for several reasons. I don't support the wedding. I don't wish to be around my future daughter-in-law. I am very mad that she did this in the first place. My reputation in the family has been affected by her lies, and finally, she hasn't apologized. The truth is getting around the rest of the family and opinions are split. Some think I would be a jerk for not going, and others think I'm justified in not going. Also, I'm still determining if I want a relationship with Ryan if he's with Shelley. Edit, all the family knows she lied. My son cleared that up with everyone, so my reputation is clear in that. Not the idiot. In my opinion, you should not go to the wedding until you get a proper apology from Shelley. She does not get to tell lies about you and then skate off scot-free. She owes you an apology. Let your son know this requirement as soon as possible. Make sure you get a proper apology, not a fake apology, e.g., I am sorry you felt that way about what I said. Your son should have gotten the truth from her before the invitations were sent out, and he proposed instead of waiting a couple of weeks before the wedding. Shelley is a piece of work. She should have remembered the golden rule about marrying into someone's family and not creating or causing trouble for family members. Honestly, tell your son you'll go to his next one. There will definitely be a next one if this is the person he's marrying. Ryan really needs to ask himself if he truly wants to be saddled with a lying troublemaker who may try to do something like this again to some other family member besides you. Ryan may have felt obligated to marry Shelley because he got her pregnant. Still, she's not entitled to expect to be treated as she wanted when she did the abusive lying. It's always scary when people are willing to lie through their teeth. Once you know someone is capable of that, how can you trust what they say? I genuinely would not go. But whatever you decide. Update, I've decided not to go. I don't believe it will be good for me, and I will explain to Ryan why I'm choosing this. I also don't think a wedding is the time to reconcile. I'll also explain that receiving no apology from either of them factors into my decision. Even if I got one now, I still will not go since I know it's forced. He is an adult. He will need to take the first steps to fix this, not me. My twin stepdaughter wants long hair but doesn't brush it while we're out. It's past her waist now. It becomes a tangled mess from her clothes, movement, weather, headphones, etc. She'll brush it in the morning at home but won't do it again later in the day or allow us to do it. I hope you believe me that it looks awful, like she hasn't brushed it in days. I don't see other kids with long hair look like this. She somehow gets a teased look with parts sticking up, half folded over or up, divided strands so it looks unwashed, and a ball of knots. If she's at home, in the park, playing with kids physically or being active, then I don't care. She doesn't go out with her mom much. Her mom is a homebody and doesn't like crowds, events, spending money, etc. So her mom doesn't see or deal with this as much as we do. In contrast, my husband and I are very social and live events, and it's not a hardship to buy tickets or outings all the time. I know brushing hair in a restaurant or near other people is icky. I try to catch her in the bathroom or when we're not near others. I care because I think it makes her father and I look neglectful. I'm embarrassed. It's not about looks. We're a bit alternative looking, so I 100% wouldn't care if this was about style or expression. I care because she looks dirty, so it will reflect badly on us, the parents who are out with her. My husband just doesn't care. He doesn't care about looks. He's very blind to detail, such as house cleaning. He literally doesn't notice a dirty floor type of person. Plus, he says, but she brushes her hair in the morning. So I'm the nagging stepmom solely caring about my stepdaughter's hair. Would you judge the parents if you saw a tween with rat nest hair, or figure the kid is just making her own decision and being stubborn? It's also unfortunate because she wants to keep growing it out, so I'm worried it will look worse and worse. Lord, I'm embarrassed and worried that I look like a neglectful parent. Am I the idiot for wanting to make it a rule that we brush it when it looks like she's been through a hurricane later in the day? You are the idiot. Nowhere in your story do you actually show any concern toward your stepdaughter. You make it very clear how much you worry about yourself and how others will perceive you. What an awful stance to have. By pushing your perspective in this situation, you are sending a clear message to your stepdaughter that you care more about yourself than her. Your motivations are twisted and selfish, so maybe take some time to figure out why you care more about what strangers think of you than your stepdaughter's feeling. Yeah, OP says, I'm going to fix how you look because it reflects badly on me, and that's pretty toxic. This is all about OP and not the stepdaughter. Hair is really not the hill to die on. Children often feel powerless in their lives, and hair is a way of exerting a small piece of control. It allows them to learn how to make decisions about their bodily autonomy without having permanent consequences. With respect, basic maintenance of hair is basic hygiene. You wouldn't want her running around with food all over her face or filthy clothes either. It's level 1 of self-care. Expecting a kid who's about to go into middle school to be able to have the hygiene level of a third grader has nothing to do with bodily autonomy. You're not controlling the hair's cut, colour or length. You just want it to be clean and neat. OP is not the idiot. Every spring, my wife's family holds a family reunion. They don't celebrate holidays together often, so they all go out for these, renting a hall, catering the works. The only weird event at these reunions is a clothing swap between the women of the family. For whatever reason, when my wife and her sisters had daughters close in age, they decided a long time ago that this was the best way to do family hand-me-downs. All the women in my wife's family ended up being very short, 4'10" to 5'1", so they all wear rare but similar sizes, so it's always worked out. With a 70-30 gender split and the only men in the family being myself, my brother-in-law and my sons from a previous relationship, this swap meet is the main event. They make a whole show about it. It's incredibly boring from the outside, so my boys and I always head out early if we go at all. This would be a non-issue if it weren't for my daughter, Kate. She's my wife and my ours baby. Kate took after my side of the family. We're a taller family, or at least not Keebler elves, so by the time she was 11, she started coming back with nothing from those parties. The first time I assumed that she was just picky until I realised that she was beginning to be bigger than her older sisters and cousins and had outgrown any size they would wear. My wife thought she needed to realise that not everything was for everyone and to have fun being there. Last year she started having body image issues, thinking she was fat and needed to go on a diet, and now I'm thinking having this event is feeding it. This year is going to be a massive deal as my mother-in-law is going into a nursing home and is downsizing. She was so into fashion that she has a full storage unit of stuff, so this will be a ton of stuff. I'm starting to think the reunion shouldn't involve a clothing swap at all, and all of that should be done privately at another time. Family shouldn't be about a fashion show. My wife thinks that's ridiculous, and Kate is just having typical teenage problems that will go away on their own, but if she's so bothered, she can not go or stay with the boys. I don't think that's right. This is mainly a girls' reunion. It's not like there's anything else as an alternative for her to share because they don't really get rid of accessories or anything, it's just clothes. This event is starting to get mean and exclusionary and it needs to end. I'm trying my best to make them see sense and get nothing but arguments. Am I really in the wrong here? Not the idiot for wanting to end it. Probably would not be the idiot for actively ending it, at least if there were no resistance. But there will be resistance. Your wife doesn't see the problem, and frankly, it doesn't sound like she's going to. Still, the first solution is always talking about it. Talk with your wife about why it's upsetting and even harmful, and simply being told to sit out by your mother while everyone else is having fun is not a healthy solution. This is probably an unpopular opinion, but I think you are the idiot, and you're overreacting. My friend group has clothing swaps all of the time. I'm on the larger side and often don't fit a lot. I still love that they have them and love participating. If Kate really doesn't like it, don't make her go. She can leave early with you and the boys. But to want them to cancel the entire thing because your daughter feels insecure seems extreme. I can't imagine my friends to stop them because lots of the clothes aren't my size. I have a pre-tween son named Dylan and I share custody with my ex, Danielle. Danielle is married to Chris and I'm married to Christine. Christine and I took a week of vacation this week. Dylan didn't go because he had school and was with his mom, but he has spring break next week and I'm taking him and my older son, Dylan's half-brother, to Palm Springs. Dylan is very attached to Christine, me and my older son. We did FaceTime with him and he'd cry saying that he missed us. We came back last night and I asked Danielle if it would be cool if we went by to see Dylan, even though we're picking him up tomorrow. Unfortunately, we didn't get there until 11 p.m, but it was okay because Danielle and I always have things to discuss. Dylan was asleep. We were getting ready to go and Danielle said she was going to take a bath and we should see ourselves out. I took some of Dylan's stuff outside and returned to the house. Chris looked at me, wondering why I was back, and I casually mentioned that I was going to say hi to Dylan. Chris said Dylan was dead asleep. I said I'm sure he is, but he would probably be upset if my wife and I left without seeing him. Then it got weird. He said, "Hey man, can you just not wake him up?" I was like, "What?" He said it was a hassle getting Dylan to go back to sleep and he wanted to go to sleep himself. I said I was going to put him back to sleep anyway. He started complaining that it took him an hour just to get Dylan to go to sleep. He even took him in the shower, gave him melatonin and played his noise machine. I said, "You're not going to tell me I can't say bye to my kid, but like I said, I'll make sure he goes back to sleep." We talked about 15 minutes. He was pretty mad. Dylan didn't even wake up, so I just left him a Godzilla plush toy my wife got him while we were on vacation. Now there's clear tension between me and Chris. You are the idiot for making this into a weird power play with Chris. He should have knocked you on your butt for coming into his home and thinking you could do what you want. Leave the toy, maybe leave a note, and then just leave. They explain that they struggle to get him to bed, so why not just respect their parenting and your son's need for sleep and drop it? Or keep the toy and give it to him when he comes to you. You have no business showing up at that hour. You are selfish to show that man you can come whenever you want. For crying out loud, you're married and so is your ex. Don't walk into another man's house like that. Is that what you want to teach your son to do? It's Chris's home, it was 11 p.m. and he asked you not to. If it were me, you wouldn't be allowed in my home until you apologized, and only when the kiddo is awake. Grow up. You sound petty and childish.